Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining today. We'd like to seek the blessings of Krishna Balaram, Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Madhav, Gaurnitai, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th Canto, 9th chapter overview today. So this is a verse from that wonderful chapter.
Darshanat Vita Parishramamutta Pato Fularit Padma Vilochanam Bhuja Prahasta Romadbhuta Pava Sankita Prastum Purastam Pasasara Palakam. Translation: As Markandeya beheld the child, all his weariness vanished. Indeed, so great was his pleasure that the lotus of his heart, along with his lotus eyes, fully blossomed, and the hairs on his body stood on end. Confused as to the identity of the wonderful infant, the sage approached him.
So this is continuing with Markandeya Rishi's pastimes, and let's see what the context of this was. So this chapter is entitled Markandeya Sees the Illusory Potency of the Lord, and it describes his vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy. So now, if devotees remember, Markandeya Rishi has the darshan of Narayan Rishi after a very, very long period of meditation. And he offered wonderful prayers to the Supreme Lord. And satisfied by the prayers and the proper glorification offered, Markandeya Rishi had offered, the Supreme Lord Narayan, the friend of Nara. Nara means man, so he's our friend. He told Markandeya Rishi, that he had perfected his life by practicing fixed meditation upon the Supreme Soul, as well as by focusing upon him with undeviating devotional service and austerities. So he asked him to take a benediction, anything he wanted. So the sage, he replied, "You remove all distress for the devotees who surrender unto you. That you have allowed me to see you is all the benediction I want." So this is a very, very nice prayer. Similar prayer was also given by Dhruv Maharaj to Narayan when he appeared in front of him, by also Prahlad Maharaj, to Nrsingadev. So this is really wonderful when the devotees don't demand anything from the Lord. Such demigods as Lord Brahma achieve their exalted positions simply by seeing your beautiful lotus feet, after their minds had become mature in yoga practice. And now, my Lord, you have personally appeared before me. Although I am satisfied simply by seeing you. So sometimes devotees have a request. It's not necessarily something for their own personal enjoyment, but something that they are inquisitive about the Lord. So Markandeya Rishi asked, "I do wish to see your illusory potency, by whose influence the entire world, together with its ruling demigods, considers reality to be materially variegated." So this is really unusual. Not many devotees would want to see Maya, but Markandeya Rishi is inquisitive. He wants to see Maya. Okay. The Supreme Lord Sri Hari, present before Markandeya in the form of Narayan, replied, "So be it," and then left for Badrikaksham. Okay, so he's in for one heck of a ride. Thinking always of his desire to see the Lord's illusory energy, the sage remained in his ashram, meditating constantly upon the Lord and sometimes overwhelmed by waves of love for the Lord. Markandeya would forget to perform his regular worship. One day, while Markandeya was performing his evening worship on the banks of the Pushpabhadra, a great wind suddenly arose, accompanied by fearsome clouds, lightning, and roaring thunder. Heavy rain poured down on all sides, and the 4 great oceans swallowed up the surface of the earth. In these oceans were terrible sea monsters, fearful whirlpools, and ominous rumblings. So the sage saw all the inhabitants of the universe, including himself, tormented by all this, and he grew perplexed and fearful. As the water of devastation flooded the 3 worlds with great difficulty, Markandeya moved about all alone in this water for countless millions of years. This is very, very long periods of time. So this is the beginning of the illusory energy that he has requested to see. So the Lord is showing him. He's showing him through his potency of devastation and annihilation. Now, once, while wandering in the water, the Brahman, Markandeya, discovered a small island, upon which stood a young banyan tree bearing blossoms and fruits. Upon a branch of that tree, he saw an infant boy lying within a leaf. The child's effulgence was swallowing up the darkness. There you go. Very nice painting somebody has done, which creates that very image that was spoken in this part of the Bhagavatam. We have the tree, the banyan tree, the branch, Markandeya Rishi struggling there in the devastating waters. And then we have on this leaf, this amazing child, infant. The infant's features were as follows. Dark blue complexion was the color of a flawless emerald. His lotus face shone with a wealth of beauty. His throat bore marks like the lines on a conch shell. He had a broad chest, a finely shaped nose, beautiful eyebrows, lovely ears that resembled pomegranate flowers. The corner of his eyes were reddish like the roll of a lotus, and the effulgence of his coral-like lips slightly reddened the nectarian's enchanting smile. As he breathed, his splendid hair trembled, and his deep navel became distorted by the moving folds of skin on his abdomen. The exalted Brahman, Markandeya Rishi, watched with amazement as the infant took hold of one of his lotus feet with his graceful fingers, placed a toe within his mouth, and began to suck. So we can see that here. He's taking that toe with his hands and put it in his mouth, sucking the toe. As Markandeya beheld the child, all his weariness vanished. Indeed, so great was his pleasure that the lotus of his heart, along with his lotus eyes, fully blossomed, and the hair on his body stood on end. Confused as to the identity of the wonderful infant, the sage approached him. So he may not have seen this wonderful form of the Lord, because they didn't have internet on those days or Wi-Fi. So we are very, very fortunate because we have access to so much information and knowledge now. But the sages at those times, they would focus within themselves and approach the Supreme Lord within their hearts. And still, they would be at such wonderful peace and attain the Lord, even though they may not have access to all the knowledge. Yet, because of their bhakti and because of their meditation, focus on the Lord gives them all the knowledge they need. Anyway, oopsie. Sorry, just trying to get that out of the way. Just then, the child inhaled, drawing Markandeya within his body like a mosquito. This is a little infant. Markandeya was amazed to see the entire universe just as it had been before the annihilation. Seeing this, he was most astonished. So what did he see? The entire universe. He saw the sky, heavens, earth, the stars, mountains, oceans, great islands, continents. So the expansions or in every direction, the saintly and demoniac living beings. He saw the forests, countries, rivers, cities, mines, villages, and cow pastures, and the occupational and spiritual activities of the various social divisions. He also saw the basic elements of creation along with all their byproducts. So this is like the universal form, as well as time itself, which regulates the ages within the days of Brahma. He saw everything else created for use in material life. The Himalaya mountains, the Pushpa Bhadra river, and his own hermitage. Then as Markandeya beheld the entire universe, the infant exhaled. So inhaling, he saw this, and exhaling, he expelled the sage from his body. So within the body of the Lord, Markandeya was seeing this universal form, the universe. And then exhaling, the sage was expelled from the body and casted him back into the ocean of dissolution, where he again saw the banyan tree growing on the tiny island and the infant boy lying within the leaf. The child glanced at him from the corner of his eyes with a smile imbued with the nectar of love, and Markandeya took him into his heart through his eyes. When the sage ran to embrace the Lord, he became invisible to the sage, and the banyan tree, the great water, and the dissolution of the universe all vanished as well. Also, in an instant, Markandeya found himself back in his own hermitage, just as before. So this was a fascinating journey for Markandeya Rishi and for us as well, because through the eyes of the Bhagavatam, we also take part in this journey that Markandeya Rishi did. Of course, his journey took millions of years in the devastating water. So he must have been quite, well, very, very scary. But amazingly, he wanted to see. He spent countless millions of years in this water. He wanted to see, and the Lord facilitated it. And as soon as his desire was fulfilled, then the Lord brought him back to his ashram again, just as before. Very fascinating pastime. Any questions, any comments?
Yes, fascinating, Prabhuji, but at times hard to believe how he could have millions of water lived for billions of years. He must be the only human being who has done that.
Yeah.
Billions of years, billions, life of 6 manus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lifespan.
Very long time. Yeah.
Must be. I wonder what happened. How did he come to his end?
You mean
Markandeya Rishis, how he's passed away from this material world.
I'm not sure if that's recounted in the next chapter. We'll find out more. But yeah, no, it's incredibly inconceivable.
Yes.
How this is possible. But of course, the Lord's, by His grace, anything is possible. But to survive millions of years without eating and always in water, it must have been amazingly, challenging. But obviously he's a devotee, so the Lord protects him. And he wanted to see it, so the Lord gave him that experience. And it's something that we don't really want to see, because it's just, I think, beyond our tolerance level to, even to tolerate it for a moment or two would be tough, let alone millions of years. But yeah, interesting. And interesting how he comes in that baby form, as opposed to the full Vishnu, four-handed form. So I don't know why he came in that baby form. It doesn't explain why, but very interesting how he comes in that baby form.
So the Markandeya Rishi saw both the forms, 2 forms of Krishna, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And baby form.
Yeah, that's right. And when he saw the baby form, he didn't understand, what is this? So that's interesting as well.
Yes, but description is like Krishna only, isn't it?
Yeah.
Description that is given. He's like Krishna, and still he could not make it out.
But as a baby, you don't expect to see the Lord as a baby. So that's a you expect to see him like Narayan or Vishnu. Suddenly this is baby. What's going on? And especially in the middle of the devastation, Very interesting.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
No, thank you so much. Anybody else? Any questions? Any comments? Otherwise, let's finish the Bhagavatam there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, chapter 9 ki jai, 12th canto ki jai.